Okay, you can see how excited I am. And in life, nothing is so potent as the secret, nothing is so potent as the silent influence of a good example. Isn't that good? A good seed. So every day, tenda wema, nenda zako. Leave the rest to God. We are here for a very important subject, and I'm going to make it very interesting. I will not start by talking to us about what the environment is all about or what conservation is about. Because I'm talking to leaders, I'm talking to presidents, I'm talking to people who matter, I'm talking to the most beautiful ladies in town, and it is nothing to do with your beauty. It is what is in your mind that I'm addressing. And therefore, allow me not to talk about the issue of environment and the very basics. Right? Do we agree on that? Yes. Do I assume that everybody understands what the environment is all about? Yes. So shall I keep it very simple? I want this line here to tell me what environment is. Then I will understand. Converse and tell me right now.
My table agrees that environment is everything around us. The air that which we breathe, the water, the plants, basically everything that is around us and is affecting our lives and the people around us.
That's a good measure. Wapigieni makofi. I think we are all in line with the class because I picked the people who are at the center on the left. I now want to know, why do you think it is important? And what are the messes, the kind of calamities that we have in this world that have been caused by effects of climate change, the environment, and all these kind of issues? I want you to think of the worst. Shall I break the box ya ule jamaa? Let me break this one and give... no, Wakwani, why are you trying to? Nimejam. Wacha tuwapatie, fungua na utoe moja. Tatu, eh? Okay, you see? There is one thing that I also want to... Every action that I make today has a meaning. So watch out. First of all, what went wrong today? How much time do I have?
3 hours.
Yes. What went wrong today? Huh? We started late. It was deliberate. Yes. I have been just around there, and I wanted to know whether you noticed the danger of being late in life. Because most of the time we insist by coming early and finding the teacher in class, sitting by 8:30, but you never show the difference when you come late. So I deliberately came late. I have a letter, I have a contract that I'm supposed to be here and start the class by 9. But I wanted to teach the presidents, because the worst timekeepers in the world are presidents. Ni kweli ama ni uongo? Because from where you're coming from school, you are taught, fika saa hii, kabla ya saa hii, exam starts on this, but sometimes you don't feel the effect. She's so annoyed that I came late. Isn't it? Kusema ukweli, situongetumiane ukweli. We are now leaders here. I wanted you to feel that. In fact, if I had another 15 minutes, I would have stayed longer. Yes, because I wanted that to be a message to you. I don't want a president who gets late. And I wanted you to understand that it is late. And the environment, if you deal with it late, it's gonna be late, it's gonna be worse, everything's gonna be messed up. Is my message not home? Utatoa tatu tu. Only 3. So back to the question. I think you're thinking that you're going to get some chocolates. Okay.
One of the adverse effects of climate change is extreme flooding.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Aisha Hussein from Isiolo County. One of the effects of climate change is severe drought.
Severe drought, okay? Yes?
My name is Purity. Another cause of effect of climate change is food insecurity, acute food insecurity. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to emphasize on changes in rain patterns and more so, especially in my area where I come from, we can really feel in Nandi County, Uasin Gishu County, areas where we used to plant maize by March, but now we are forced to plant in May. So that one translates to food insecurity, which is also a very huge impact of these changes.
Thank you. Mpigieni makofi. Let's hear her.
First of all, why is the environment important is because it's about the future. We as human beings, we are procreating, and we need our future generation to enjoy the environment we are having now. So the effect is global warming, whereby we are experiencing rising of waters in our lakes, in our rivers, and this is causing deaths, and we believe, and I think it will cause more effects in future. Thank you.
Okay, keep standing. The ones who responded, please stand. Just take it easy. We're going to be in this journey. Take it easy. Okay. Oh, she's frustrated that she has not answered. Please, let us give her the mic. Yes. Okay, let's give her the mic.
Thank you very much. I've listened to what my colleagues have talked. They've talked about, we also have positive things on climate change. If we have smart climate change, we can have good economic growth in the country.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Give me a high five. Good. Now, I will give her a chocolate, not for the response, but for the insistence to be heard. That's a quality of a leader. Mwaga chocolate hapa. That depends. Now that is manipulation. Now, let us because I think you have a point. Akona point yeye ndiye alini point out kwa. Do you think she deserves a chocolate?
Yes.
Cha ukweli ama cha uongo? Sawa. Okay. Now, let's take it easy now. I want us to understand the importance. You talked about your flooding. If she talked about flooding and gave numbers of people who are affected, amount of rainfall that is normal, the kind of deaths that are happening on a daily basis, would that message be home than other and just the general, because we are now leaders here, we are talking about presidents, right? Yes. When we are talking about the subject of environment, what is missing to help people to understand what needs to be done is the statistics, and many people don't spend time to add on statistics. Listen to this. Someone talked about pollution, or someone was about to talk about pollution. What were you going to tell us?
Increased pollution on land and water has threatened the life of life under the sea. Like we've seen depletion of fish in the market, and also on land, when we use a lot of chemicals, especially in agriculture, when it rains and we do not have a good forest cover, it swipes it off to the rivers. And at the same time, as humans, if we consume the water that is consisting of these harmful
chemicals that are used for agriculture is a threat or jeopardizes our life in the long run. So, yeah.
Thank you. Now, while they're standing, I deliberately want to I want to be very light, because I enjoy those who read my articles on a weekly basis, which you can get. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Which you can all find on kaluagreen.com. kaluagreen.com. I love statistics, and I have found a niche in trying to get the communication of environment interesting. In other common world language, is called to make the institution or the language sexy. Yeah? Not abusive, to mean make it interesting. All right? Supposing we looked at how many people, 4.2 million people are dying every year as a result of exposure of ambient or outdoor air pollution. That means cars, industries, and backdoor burning. Can you imagine that smell? Can you imagine if you locked yourself in a car garage for just about 15 minutes and you put on your car, you'll be missing in action. Are you aware? So that is happening around everywhere in a manner that can kill, and 4.2 million people are dying on an annual basis out of that kind of pollution. Can you imagine the 3.8 million deaths every year is as a result of exposure of smoke from dirty cook stoves? You're going to be a president who is leading people who are dying because of poor cooking habits. They are using firewood, they don't have enough air pollution, circulation in the rooms, and some of them, it's so simple. That old house in the back at home does not have a large window. They close the door and they are smoking all that, and people are dying. Hello? 91% of the world's population lives in places where air quality exceeds what is expected by WHO. We have disasters that are happening regularly. Climate change disasters and all these things. Nearly 31 people are displaced from their own countries and their own homes every year. It means every 1 second, or actually 2 people in 1 second, are being displaced because of flooding, because of air pollution, because of mismanagement of some sort. Every 1 second, close to 2 people have been displaced from the place where they call home. If you picked the language of environment, add figures to it, bring it down to where people would understand, then as a president, you would be making sense to the people that you lead. It would not make sense to just ask people plant trees when you are not telling them the percentage of trees equivalent to a country like Finland, where it is almost 60%. Other countries where states in the US where they have 78% of forest cover, it adds up to the air quality, it adds up to more rain, it adds up to food in their farm, it adds up to money in the pocket of the people. But when you just talk about planting trees, you may never communicate or resonate with the people that you would want to coordinate and cooperate with. Because green, as you realize, it's very vast, it's very wide. There are so many issues. And by the way, I just changed my name. My name is, nowadays, my name is Isaac Kalua Green. And therefore, I want to introduce you to green. And I want every one of you to join that family of the greens. Green has 3 meanings. The first one is treating people kindly. This is about good ethics, training on life skills. It's about values. When you miss this, when you're talking about conservation, when you're talking about environment, you have lost it. You must resonate, you must live it, you must be able to do what is right for you to be able to move on. Secondly, green is about good health. Green is about peace within communities. Green is about sustainable wealth creation. Tell an African person, even you who are here, to conserve environment, most of you will not join in the journey. But show them how to make money. Everybody will go in that direction. So leaders take a very passionate and strategic position where you can carry as many people and use it as a bait so that you can be able to drive the country in a manner that is very strategic. I'm taking it at this level because if I was talking to a class that I am training about environmental issues, the subject would be very different. I don't want to turn you into an environmentalist. I want to make you a leader in a very strategic position. The number of people who are dying out of health-related issues, I was just looking at it the other day. It's very interesting. And that is why it needs to interest you as a team here. Cancer has got aspects of it, and a major one that is related to the environment. Plastics, the odor, the gases, and a lot of things. And do you know how many people are dying out of cancer? 10 million deaths. 1 out of 6 deaths due to cancer. 10 million annually. In there, anyone who is speaking about health imagines that there is nothing to do with the environment. Yes, yet there is a lot to do with the environment. A leader needs to look through many issues to understand what is the subject that they may need to deal with. We are talking about 70% of death from cancer. We are talking about so many issues that we need to be able, and I'm picking just a few, just to bring you up to a position that you can be able to understand the most important, the second important item on matters of green. Health. You can imagine how many people have been displaced. I'm not going to give you the answer because I want you to tell me out of peace, lack of peace within communities, and what role you're supposed to play as a leader at this level. I can't tell you how much money that can be made on matters of environment unless you yourselves can search out at least once before, and I was talking this many years back, not so many years back anyway, just about 2010 or 2015 thereabout. I found that I was communicating to people about growing trees, because I never talk about planting, growing trees, and I found I was disconnecting with them. And so what I did, I went ahead and I told my wife Susan, who says hi, by the way, she's a follower of what you do. Yeah, and we agreed that I'm going to grow 3 seedlings, so many of them, sell them through dirtifying my hands, a period of 9 months, sold them off, and went to buy a Mercedes-Benz KAS 988J out of seedlings and dirtifying my hands. At the end of that process, which was long enough, I was invited to make a presentation to the youth in Safari Park Hotel, and I dangled a key of a Mercedes-Benz. And the meeting came to an end because everybody had to go out to go and touch to feel if it is real or it is not real. Of course it was real. I never do those big cars, by the way. I just came in a small electric car, so I spent zero on fuel and everything else. But I use the Mercedes so that the youth of this country can be able to understand what it means to work hard to conserve the environment, that you can actually make money. The third green. This is about passionate environmental conservation. Passionate. When you grow trees, when you do things, you do them for a specific reason, out of your heart and passion. There are people who just do things because it is duty, came here because you are a leader in your own way, or you want to become a leader, or you want to become a trained person in this space. But there are some of you, and most of you actually, let me say that, because those ones didn't make it here. Sindio? Yeah, I withdraw my statement. Will end up being more successful because you're passionate about this process. I speak, I walk, I dress. Every single day I'll be in green because I'm crazy, because I want anyone just to have a reason to say green. Every day. I will just do something I don't know, sometimes does not have a meaning. You drop in a plastic bag when you're plastic thing when you're driving the car. I'll stop my car, I'll cause traffic jam until I collect that piece and just keep it somewhere where it's supposed to be. You have to be so passionate about what you do to a point that the world fears, understands, baka inakuwa uko usiende. That's what leaders are supposed to be. That is what the kind of a president I would like to see out of this place. You might not end up to be the president of the country, all of you, but you will be a president and a great leader that is most influential than even presidents. Form in your mind a frame that is so clear that what I want to be able to do is to drive change, starting with my own household. Stop talking about 50 million Kenyans. Stop that. Start talking about 12.2 million households. Because every Kenyan ends up in a household in one way or another. Start influencing your own family, your own siblings, your own parents on what they must be able to do. Influence those ones. We are watching. You may think that we are not. We are watching. It is that passionate drive that will take you to some different place. And noticing that, I came up with something when Wangari Maathai passed on, my mentor. I wondered what is the best way that we can remember her for. And just on the day that we met for her first burial meeting, I called on Kenyans to plant 71 trees. Very simple thing. 71 trees to remember Wangari Maathai. Everyone who feels that they may be able to do that. My imagination was that within 1 year, Kenya will have planted 5.6 million trees per day, 3-year-old trees. What we are using for our household, you imagine our number of people that are using. And I like that disturbance. So when you don't understand something, in my class muniulize, tumalizie hapo, si ndio? Tukienda mbele, tunaenda tukienda. Aya. More than 15, close to 18 million trees in 1 year. What a surprise. Meaning people know what they want to do, they only lack direction. Immediately after that, guess what happened? Churches came back to me. Kalua, we have planted 5 trees for Wangari Maathai. Sasa tupande nini? And it was something that I really had to think fast, thinking with others, involving many people. What can we, because this is something that we must pick its impetus and get it running. Then it was born, Plant Your Age. Sasa kama umepanda 71 trees, you are 35, you are 20, so you go and plant your 20 and make sure they grow. Make sure you understand which type of trees they are. Are they for firewood? Are they medicinal? Are they for fruits? Are they for timber? Are they for just beauty, the so-called ornamental? So you yes.
Just want some clarification from you. It's something that's very passionate and really close to my heart. Our alienation from nature and the effect that it has on our children. I am already here, I'm 30 years old, but I'm thinking of that child who's between the age of being born today or tomorrow and probably 15 years, because now we are cutting down a lot of trees to build up concrete. So we are reseeding the playgrounds, and now there's technology that has come. So I put my child in the house and I'm like, no, like in my estate, I live in Kariobangi South. It's the route that the trucks that take our garbage to Dandora dump site use. So on Fridays and Saturdays, parents will keep their children in the house because I don't want my child to hear that smell. Inanuka vibaya, you know? So we keep them. We buy them PSs, there's computers, there's Wi-Fi in the house. So these children, rather than seeing a baobab tree outside, sitting under it and just interacting with it, are seeing it in games. I go to the gym nowadays, there's a treadmill and there's a screen there that shows me an entire forest rather than me being able to run through that forest. Nowadays, we can't even write romantic stories. We met by the riverside and had a picnic. There is no riverside to meet at. And I would like to know how this affects our children, especially their mental growth and also their health.
Thank you. Thank you. That is quite a pigieni makofi. I want us to be as practical as that. You can imagine I can get as technical can be. So I will now respond to that in line with just what I was driving on. And I'll pick the first sentence because it carries everything that she wrote on. Our alienation from. When you plant a tree, it's about communication. You need to understand, and you can calculate how much CO2 you need per lifetime of an individual or per day. And you can know, because the research has been done, how much oxygen the tree can give to you per day. And therefore you can match the tree and the oxygen so that you are planting trees for CO2, for them to collect the CO2 and for them to give you oxygen. So you are actually not planting or growing trees. You are actually growing your own oxygen. Simple. Life should not be complicated. And I'm training you as leaders to understand the approach that you must do. Those who don't know and don't want to be passionate, don't want to do anything, they will lock up their children in the house because it's dirty outside. What have you done, even if it's going to take 5 years? I'm happy Kenya banned plastic. I was a real driver in the process. We made it happen. But today you still think, was it the right thing? Good. Other countries have learned out of that. And they are even causing more employment opportunities. You know what Kagame did? He was driving, he noticed some litter, he stopped his motorcade and went to collect the plastics. And when he collected the first one, he found the second one, and it was an hour and 2 hours, and the whole city, you can imagine njia imefungwa. What is the president doing? Ai, hata mimi wacha niokote. That changed the culture of the country, just one action, because he's seated at the right place and therefore can be able to influence. If you are not yet there, which is where I am, and I believe I can do it in a different way while dealing with everything else, I will ask, what can plastic do for us? Plastic can make poles for fencing. Plastic can make the tiles and roof tiles. Plastic can make so many things, multiple. Plastic can be recycled, can be upcycled, it's a real business. I will therefore, if I am where you are now, Madam President, in my own county, in my own presidency, and issue a decree. No poles that are not plastic that shall fence my government's properties. What have you done? You have killed the use of trees that are being cut for fencing. Hiyo kwisha umesave miti. Number two, you have also reduced the use of cement poles that are emitting so much in the air because of their process of production. Three, you have cleaned the entire community because the youth will go collecting all the plastics and taking them to a factory that is doing this. Watachimba, hata wewe utanyang'anywa ile paper bag unabeba sababu kuna mahali inatakikana.
On the first question that you asked, I think the reason as to why we are having issues with our environment is because of the activities as human beings, which is the anthropogenic activities that we do as human beings, not knowing that we are affecting the environment direly. And lastly, I personally have a foundation that deals with the environmental conservation. And what we do, we plant fruit trees to create business out of the trees, so that you do not feel the pain of planting a tree, nurturing it, without seeing what benefit it will bring to you at long last. But there will be mangoes you'll be eating, there will be other fruits you'll be eating, avocados, and also it will also be giving you the oxygen that you need and the carbon dioxide sink that you deserve. Thank you.
You're the best. Thank you so. Apate kachoko. Kako hapa kachoko. Okay, I will hold this one so that it's faster. Okay.
I think one other important thing is that we'll be making the environment beautiful, and as a result of that, we'll be attracting investors. Remember from that Singapore moved from being a third world country to a first world country because it ensured that it greened the environment, it beautified the environment, and as a result of that, it became a key destination for investors, just like Rwanda is doing. So if Kenya becomes beautiful, we'll even woo the international investors.
You're teaching the younger generation on how to conserve the environment. My son, who is very young, knows as I am growing up, there is good air, good climate. So instead of them now fighting the problems of our generation, they start now inventing new things of their generation. They don't have to fight environmental conservation, they only have to improve on environmental conservation.
Speaking from the medical perspective, respiratory illnesses, e.g. pneumonia, asthma, are among the diseases that can finish you within an instant. Let's say when you have an asthmatic attack, which is caused by these pollutants or irritants. So when we conserve our environment and plant trees, as a country, we will be able to reduce the death that is caused by these fatal respiratory illnesses, and this will mean that it will prolong life and increase the life expectancy of the elderly and also the youth. Thank you so much.
Like for instance, in our office, we don't throw away papers. We have a place we collect all the papers, all the waste paper. We recycle envelopes. Also, I'm very passionate about renewable energy, biogas, solar energy. These are things that they look far-fetched, but they really help us. What happens with the papers that we collect? I give them to the office assistant who delivers them to the place where papers are bought, and she's able to sell those papers and make a few monies. Thank you.
Promoting environmental sustainability also ensures that we're protecting the future generation. Currently, we have children who are out of school, with Mandera County having the highest number of children who are out of school at over 170,000. And we're seeing so many of them not going to school, especially in areas like Baringo, because there are hippos actually in their classrooms. So I think it's very important to pay attention to that. But Mr. Green, coming back to Nairobi County, we are talking about environmental sustainability and its linkage to food security. So how will Nairobi as a county produce food especially looking at the area, knowing that a lot of it is actually just buildings all over the place. So how do we look at sustainable food production in urban areas?
Now that I've given you an example and why I will not come for your cleanup exercise and why I think you shouldn't, give me 3 solutions that can be handled in that manner. 3. One that I've talked about is plastics, where you are dealing with that process from its beginning and you are leading. That is about plastics and production of poles and everything that goes with that. I have referred you to my article on a team that on diapers. Yeah. Now, I want 3 solutions that of the environment or challenges that can be handled in that manner, and this is going to be a group work. I'll give you. Thank you very much. So, thank you. Can you please put your hands together for the team leaders? Before you lose what I wanted you to have in that process, presidents and leaders must think on their feet. A good thing is a good thing, and you must follow your intuition and get to do it immediately. But to get that done, you must quickly create a team and a group as fast as possible. That's what a leader is supposed to be.
As presidents, we need to understand that for all our institutions to work, we should be able to make sure that there is enough support for counties to be able to implement even most of the policies that we'll be dishing out. So one thing that came clearly is we need to incentivize waste management, and we need to put the sorting of waste to even start from the source. And another thing that was very pertinent is that we need to change mindsets and create a culture of conservation. And the best way would be first to include environment as a requirement in curriculums all the way from ECD levels, for instance. Kids should understand what is important of littering, what is the effects of littering and things like that. Also, we need to move from dump sites to material recovery facilities. After whatever has been sorted, it should not come to be dumped in one particular place. So while we are creating incentive for resource recovery and creating opportunities for people to make money out of waste, we should have material recovery facilities where only that which can decompose is collected, and this can also be turned into manure for future use. And then someone in the group also highlighted that electric vehicles can actually be made to become more affordable, so that we move from using dirty energy and actually try to have renewable energy to be used in our vehicles.
Thank you for the opportunity. One thing we saw is that we don't have enough recycling methods, and we thought as a country we can adopt methods from different countries like Singapore, where they recycle water. When you wash your utensils or even bathing, most of the time you find that these waters go into waste. So if we adopt that and use the waters for irrigation, that will help us in conserving our environment. And then we also agreed as a group that those waters can also again be used for kitchen gardens. Like when we are living in the cities, most of the time you'll go out to the stores, buy vegetables or other food materials. So those waters can also be used as to do the farming in the houses. So we realized that that will also complement the different SDGs that we learned, like SDG 13, where we talk about climate action, and also SDG 11. The second one is smart waste bins for waste management. This makes lower waste management cost by as much as 80% and also improves the employee efficiency.
Thank you. Thank you. We have to appreciate each other.
Okay, thank you. This is the Kijani team. Please stand up. The Kijani team. Thank you very much. So I am actually not going to repeat what my other ambassadors spoke about, you know, having electric cars, having good collection methods like the sorting methods. So I'll just go to the points that they haven't been mentioned. So how about if we as the government, how about if us as the president come up with a day, like for example the 5th of June, which is the National Environment Day, where we as the country just dedicated to planting trees. So we'd want that as one of the implementing factors, like a day that is meant for planting trees specifically. Then another point, of course, is going to be beyond our comfortability. So we thought of, you know, apart from pads, what's the other, you know, source of waste close to diapers? We thought, why not ban the use of the normal pads, the likes of Always? I know this is going to be pretty much uncomfortable, and we know the human rights are like, you know, give people a variety of, you know, options, but some options we can't really accept them. So why not stick to reusable products? We have reusable pads. You know, we have menstrual cups. Why not stick to those ones, because they can last for long? Do you know how much we'll be reducing in terms of waste production? Then also we're thinking of banning plastics. Yeah, I know we banned plastics, but they're just the plastic bags, right? What about the likes of a water bottle, the ones that were given yesterday? You know, we have other conferences where they didn't give you water bottles. I mean, the ones that's already packed, they give you a glass and you go to the dispenser and you know, carry for yourself. And why not make it a habit that you carry your own reusable bottle? We thank actually Mr. President for trying to ensure us as the presidents are not using you know, the normal plastic bottles, but we're having our own reusable bottles. That was really amazing.
According to the assignment, we relied on Dr. Kalu's words that he will not come for any cleanup exercise if we happen to call him. And so we decided to come up with possible cleanup ways, where that we came along with these following ways. One was a way of doing waste segregation. I think it has been quoted by the front speakers, and we were borrowing these from the hospitals, where that they have these waste bins that are labeled, and a proper way of disposing the collections is that we really looked at the foods that are always in the hospitals will always be, if they find a better way to deposit, we'll come up with fertilizer. And then we did the electronic gadgets deposit, and we looked at the Safaricom, where they have introduced the gadget deposit or a trade-in for an incentive. That is so good of Safaricom. And then we also thought of a wording system to encourage environment-conscious citizens, and at the same time come up with punitive measures on those who do littering. Then the next one was banning of all importations that are not recyclable. As presidents, we can do that through the parliament or through an executive directive from the president herself. And then we also said that we will encourage innovation. And because I don't want to elaborate more, we also shared in my group a personal way of conservation, where I run a daycare at the Eldoret towns that is within the CBD, and what I do with especially the tissue rolls, hiyo karatasi ya ndani, I make up toys za watoto wenye wanakuja, then we tie a ring and they go pulling around, and they see a different thing, not from the normal plastic cars. At the same time, we use them on curtains, holding curtains, because anytime you bring up a fancy curtain thing, they will keep on pulling. So we paint the tissue rolls and do the curtains. This one I shared with my group, and I thought it's also good to share with you guys. Whenever I do kimbo, I don't go buying hizo vitu za kuweka vijiko. I use the kasuku thing in my kitchen to put the spoons, the mwikos and everything, and they look beautiful.
Thank you. The final group.
In Kenya, we rarely do garbage sorting. And I think even as you think through the issue of garbage sorting, whereby you separate the organics from the plastics, from the glass and things like that, we also need to think about the rural and the modern waste management differences. You know, like in the modern areas, you will probably have plastic bags or whatever kind of bags where the county government will come for the waste. But in the rural areas, you find that people have pits where they throw the waste. So we need to actually be able to consider those two differences. So in terms of making best use of our waste and recycling, we first talked about recycling of organic waste, where we can have organic waste collection, which can be used to make fertilizers. It can be used to produce feeds for poultry and other animals, and it can also be used to produce biogas, that is clean energy. What are you doing? What are you doing if you produce biogas and clean energy? We know that it creates a ripple effect, a positive one, whereby you save the women in the kitchen who have to inhale the smoke, and therefore they are healthier. They're able to work. They're able to use that income that they would actually have used maybe to buy firewood and channel it everywhere. I mean, somewhere else, maybe to be able to get loans and things like that. So at the end of the day, you empower them economically, because we know that women actually, especially in the rural areas, are the ones who in charge of looking for fuel for cooking. And then there was the issue of planting bamboo, which I think has come up very strongly. I think we all know that bamboo cleans the environment, and it makes it beautiful. Bamboo can be used to make furniture, clothes, and endless supply of timber. And I think we were just looking at the stats and seeing that bamboo can actually grow up to 1 meter per day. That is like 4 centimeters per hour. So bamboo also, if you make clothes from bamboo, it adjusts against the environment. On cold days, it adjusts upwards, the environment upwards. On hotter days, it adjusts the temperature downwards. So you can see how good it is. And bamboo is the future, of course. It's a multiple use, edge tree. So this will help to get rid of plastic tumblers, plastic mats and things like that. And also it creates job opportunities. And apart from that, bamboo creates an endless supply of CO2. And it also helps with the carbon sink, absorbing the greenhouse emissions, and it cleans the air. And it's aesthetic. I think if you've seen the areas where bamboo grows, I think it's a beautiful thing. So then in that case, there'll be no words about biodegradability, which I think is the issue for the other waste. The other thing is being able to use any other something that you can recycle in your house. Like one of us gave an example of making shoes using old soles. So they take old shoes, they clean up the soles, and they make new shoes, and they're able to use the t-shirts or tops or other clothes to be able to make the top of the shoe. So I think it's a good way if you're able to think of everything in your house in a way that you can actually recycle it. And then dumping of waste, like toilet waste. In our county, Taita Taveta County, we had someone who was doing the toilet waste, they would be able to create sort of biogas at a low scale, and they're able to actually make the gas. And at the same time, if it is clean waste, it can still be used for your kitchen gardens, so if you get manure for the kitchen garden, then it saves us a lot of money and things like that. And the other issue was glass. The issue of glass. In Kenya, we sell a lot of glass in soda bottles, in whatever it is, but there's no policy as to where the companies account for their glass. So it should be made a policy for companies to be able to recycle their own glass, if it's Coca-Cola, if it's whoever it is that is making glass and selling it out, and basically educate citizens on how to convert the glass into beautiful items. You've seen kuna zile chupa zimefungwa na uzi, and they make very beautiful, vases and ashtrays and such things. So the other thing would be e-waste. I think someone has mentioned the issue of Safaricom. I think the government needs to move forward and actually create centers for deposit for e-waste. So it should not just be the private sector. And the last thing that I would like to talk about is, I think women, and okay, no, I don't think I should be sorry for saying this. We contribute to actually a huge population, pollution in our homes. Think about, for the ones who have husbands, probably he'd have a bottle of lotion and probably just Vaseline, and he's set to go. But how much things do you have? 3 perfumes, 4 lotions, what else? Yes, so something that we've actually named as pink waste. So I'm thinking we as women, as Miss Presidents, we're actually responsible for a lot of pollution in our homes and in the in the community. So how about we start getting refills? I'm not talking about perfume refills zile zina stick kwa nguo, but quality refills. If we can go forward, how about Vaseline or Dettol or whoever introduces a vending machine in the big supermarkets where you can come with your 1 liter or half liter, whatever, and come and refill your lotion, or things like that. So think about it. As women, how much are we contributing to pollution in the society? So think about it. That's the point. Asanteni sana.
Asante.